The central bank's report on the country's monthly consumer inflation released last Thursday has raised quite a few eyebrows. The inflation rate that hovered around 7% for months was surprisingly lowered at 5.38% for mid-October to mid-November, which was a 22-month low. Serious question marks have now been raised as the set time period included Nepal's key festive season, when prices traditionally increased for a number of reasons, including hoarding, black marketing amid the authorities' lax monitoring. Good morning, I'm Amar Singh Pradhan, and these are the headlines of the hour. 34 people reported dead in Jajarkot and Rukum West, mainly due to cold since the Jajarkot earthquake. Concern raised over the condition of victims. Nepal began legworks for selling 10,000 megawatt electricity to India during Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jayashankar's upcoming visit. 3 Hamas-held hostages killed in Israel attacks. IDF calls it accidental deaths. 1 Al Jazeera journalist killed in Khan Yunis. 2 more matches slated at Nepal Super League today. Birganj United take on Pokhara Thunders, followed by the second fixture between Chitwan and Sporting Elan. At least 34 earthquake victims have died in Jajarkot in the past 1.5 months due to cold and diarrhea. 29 people died in Jajarkot and 5 in Rukum West. All of them were living in temporary arrangements made out of tarpaulins since the massive earthquake struck the region on 3rd of November. Daily lives have been crippled due to dip in mercury. Many others have been reporting cold-related sicknesses. The Veri District Hospital has been receiving more than 100 new patients every day amid the ongoing cold spell. Around 55,000 families in Jajarkot and Rukum West lost their homes in the aftermath of the earthquake. 5,000 temporary shelters have been constructed so far in the 2 adjoining districts. Meanwhile, the victims of the Jajarkot earthquake are yet to receive grant money for the construction of their temporary shelters, despite the lapse of over a month since the devastating earthquake hit the region. Just around 10,000 out of over 60,000 victims have signed the agreement for the construction of temporary shelters. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority has said it has disbursed over 1,142 billion rupees so far, 277,555,000 rupees, out of which have been deposited by the local levels to the accounts of the victims. The authority has said it has the list of 60,337 families that were affected by the earthquake. 10,734 of them have locked agreement for the construction of temporary shelters. The authority has also said it has released 140 million rupees for Bajura district, of which it transferred 80 million to Jajarkot and Rukum West, the 2 most affected districts. And in our public voice segment, we have asked in the provinces what is the reason behind the delay in rehabilitation of victims of disasters. Let's take a look at what they have to say.
सरकारी स्थिर नभएकै कारण व्यवस्थापन ढिलासुस्ती भएको
योजनाहरू नभएकोले चाहिँ त्यो विपद व्यवस्थापनका कुराहरू सहज तरिकाले राम्ररी हुन सकिराखेको अवस्था छैन।
नीतिगत त्रुटि भएका कारणले चाहिँ यो विपद व्यवस्थापन प्रभावितहरूको चाहिँ व्यवस्थापन हुन नसकेको हो।
प्रत्येक क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ अब राजनीतिकरण भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि यसरी चाहिँ जुन विपदमा परेका साथीहरूले चाहिँ एउटा सेवा उपलब्ध गराउन नसक्नु भएको।
जाडोले कठाङ्ग्रिएर कहीँ मर्दैछ, कहीँ बाढीमा, कहीँ भूकम्पमा, तर पाउनु पर्नेले सुविधा पाएको छैन। सरकार एकदमै लापरवाह देखिएछ।
कुर्सी र लोभ लालचको छन् कि हाम्रो कसरी विकास हुन्छ, जनताको त केही पनि होस् कुनै पनि वास्ता नै छैन।
कसलाई कहाँबाट जोगाउने, कसलाई कहाँबाट चाहिँ कति कमाइदिने भन्ने सन्दर्भमा लागेकाले अहिले भूकम्प यस्ता खालकाबाट पीडित मान्छेहरूप्रति सरकार अन्धो छ।
मन्त्री कोले बन्ने र सिटको मात्रै भागभाण्डाको त्यसैमा उहाँहरू अहिलेसम्म बेचैन हुनुहुन्छ।
यस्तो चिसो छ, बाहिर पालमुनिको बसाइ छ, तर पनि सरकारले देख्दै देखिरहेको छैन।
नीति नियम बनाएर मात्रै गर्नुपर्ने हुन सक्छ र त्यस्तो कुराहरू नगरेकै कारणबाट सरकार अलमलिएको हो।
लगत लिएर त्यहाँ चाहिँ ती घरहरू सरकारले बनाउन सक्छ, त्यसका लागि बजेटहरूको व्यवस्थापन गर्नुपर्छ।
प्रभावित क्षेत्रमा राज्यको त्यसरी सक्रियताका साथ उपस्थित देखिँदैन।
उहाँहरूले चाहिँ खालि भाषण मात्रै गर्नुहुन्छ, जनताहरूको सिम्पति बटुल्नुहुन्छ अनि जानुहुन्छ।
केन्द्रदेखि लिएर स्थानीय स्तरसम्म चाहिँ स्रोत साधनको माध्यम नहुनु र व्यवस्थापनको कमी हुनु।
पूर्व तयारी सरकारले केही पनि नगरेको कारणले आइपरेका विपदहरूमा चाहिँ व्यवस्थापन गर्न नसकेको।
समस्या वास्तविक ठाउँमा छ भनेर बोध पनि गर्न उसले कमी कमजोरी त्यहाँनिर पनि छ।
विपद व्यवस्थापन सरकारको मुख्य प्राथमिकता हुनुपर्ने थियो, तर परेन।
जति बेला विपद आइपर्छ नि, आइसकेपछि मात्रै सरकारी प्रोसेसहरू तात्तिन्छ। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि विपदको ठाउँसम्म पुग्नको लागि सरकार जहिलेसुकै ढिला भइरहेको हुन्छ।
छोटो उपायहरू अपनाएर, छोटो प्रक्रिया अपनाएर गर्दा चाहिँ उपयुक्त हुन्छ।
मन्त्रीमण्डल कसरी जिल्ला सरकार टिकाउँ भनेर गएको सरकारले त्यो विपदको लागि गर्नेवाला हुँदै होइन।
Former Minister for Home Affairs Balkrishna Khad, who was in judicial custody for 7 months, indicted in the fake witness refugee scam, was released on bail yesterday. The release followed a Thursday verdict by the Pradhan High Court. Khad furnished 3 million rupees in bail amount to Kathmandu District Court and 1.5 million to Department of Money Laundering investigation. Khad was taken to the Department of Money Laundering investigation after being presented at the Kathmandu District Court. Khad was also taken to the Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority after recording his statements and furnishing the bail amount. The Pradhan High Court had ordered the Khad's release on bail on Thursday. Prior to this, justices were divided regarding Khad's release, and the case was seen by a third judge, Krishna Ram Koirala, who ordered Khad's release on bail. Prior to this, on 1st of December, Judge Janak Pandey had said that Khad should be released on bail, while another judge, Prakash Kharel, had stated that Khad should be sent to detention. 10 of the 30 individuals involved in the fake witness refugee scam are still at large. Meanwhile, former Deputy Prime Minister Top Bahadur Ramaji is still in judicial custody. 12 political parties have registered themselves for the National Assembly election scheduled for 25th of January next month. The Election Commission had given parties till yesterday to register themselves. The parties that registered yesterday include Nepali Congress, CPN-UML, CPN Mao Center, Janta Samajwadi, Unified Socialist, Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, Nagrik Unmukti, Nepal Mazdoor Kisan Party, Janmat Rashtriya Janmorcha, Loktantrik Samajwadi and Nepal Samajwadi Party. These parties will receive the election symbol tomorrow, and the list of approved parties will be published in the National Gazette on the 20th of this month. The tenure of 20 National Assembly members, including the chairperson, is expiring on the 3rd of March in just over 2 months' time. 19 members will be elected through the polls, while 1 will be nominated by the President upon the government's recommendation. Disputes have surfaced between the Tribhuvan University and the University Grant Commission regarding the equivalence for the PhD. Regulating Authority University Grant Commission, or UGC, has stated its dissatisfaction as the Executive Council of the Tribhuvan University has eased criteria to issue equivalence to PhDs from countries including India received without meeting all requirements. The UGC officials have said that the decision is likely to hurt the dignity of the Tribhuvan University. The number of aspirants receiving PhD from Indian University has shot up in recent time. India's University Grant Commission had introduced a legal provision requiring completion of PhD under the supervisor assigned by the related university back in May 2016. Based on this, the TU had not been issuing equivalence to students not meeting the legal requirement for the MPhil and PhD program. However, with growing pressure because of the provision creating a serious impact on employment, the Executive Council of TU has eased the criteria for equivalence. Dozens of applications have been filed at the Curriculum Development Center of the university for equivalence of PhDs received from several Indian universities without meeting the basic criteria. Last year, TU had stopped issuing equivalence to PhDs received from 4 Indian universities with supervisors from Nepal. However, August 30's meeting of the Executive Council had amended the regulation and had begun issuing equivalents to PhDs received without meeting requirements. The UGC and students themselves have termed the equivalents issued in such manner against the law. Until a few years ago, Indian universities used to open their contact offices in Kathmandu and grant PhD by appointing Nepali supervisors. Based on the amended regulation, TU will not seek the opinion of the Office of the Dean to issue equivalents and will not also test for plagiarism. Qualification term of the course and weightages will be considered to issue equivalents. Analysts have said that issuing equivalents in this way without testing the standard of the courses will further dent the prestige of the Tribhuvan University. And now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with their opinion. Take on the Tribhuvan University's decision to loosen criteria for PhD equivalence. Your options are option A, result of pressure, option B, apathy towards quality, and option C, concern towards students. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share opinion with us. 30 bank and financial institutions have cleared their taxes following Supreme Court's order. According to the large taxpayers' office, it has received around 11 billion rupees in taxes yesterday. Tax collection will continue in 84 tax offices across the country today as well, and banks will also operate today despite being a Saturday, the day of weekly holiday. Banks and financial institutions have till today to clear their taxes and avoid fines. Indian Minister for External Affairs S. Jaishankar is to visit Nepal for a two-day beginning January 4. Nepal has begun homeworks to proceed with the understanding for selling 10,000 megawatts electricity to India during Jaishankar's visit. During Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal's India visit, an agreement was reached based on which India would purchase 10,000 megawatts electricity from Nepal in the coming decade. Prime Minister Dahal had termed the agreement a major success at the time. The agreement has already been approved by the Council of Ministers of India, while the secretaries of the two countries are yet to reach another agreement. The Ministry of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation has made preparation for the agreement during Jaishankar's Nepal visit. During Prime Minister Dahal's visit, agreement was reached to complete the detailed project report of Pancheshwar within 3 months. As it remains to be concluded, experts have suggested prioritizing it as well. 2 meetings of the group of experts of Pancheshwar have been held since Prime Minister Dahal's India visit, while 1 meeting of the governing body was held. While disputes have existed in more than 100 points regarding Pancheshwar project, agreement has remained elusive in only 3 to 4 differences. Political dialogue have appeared necessary in resolving these differences. The private sector has also demanded raising the issue of additional transmission lines to sell electricity to India. Crusader of reforms in medical teaching in Nepal, Dr. Govinda Kesi has waged yet another hunger strike. Dr. Govinda Kesi has started the latest round of hunger strike from Kailali Dhangadi's Dharmasala at Krishna Temple. Dr. Govinda Kesi started the hunger strike, citing that the government has failed to comply to the numerous agreements struck with him in the past. This is Dr. Kesi's 21st hunger strike, seeking reforms in medical education of the country. Dr. Kesi had earlier yesterday reached Geta Medical College to stage his strike. However, the members of the struggle committee who are trying to establish Dasrat Chand Health Science University barred Dr. Kesi from holding his protest at the Geta Medical College. Following this, he reached the Krishna Temple to wage his 21st round of hunger strike. And now time for international update. The Israeli military has said it has mistakenly killed 3 hostages during its campaign in Gaza after they were misidentified as a threat. Those deceased have been identified as Yoltam Haim, 28 years old, Samir Talaka, aged 22, and Alon Samiz, who is 26 years old. The military shared its remorse and said the 3 were shot by troops operating in Sejia in Gaza's north. More than 100 hostages remain in captivity in Gaza after being captured in the 7 October attacks on Israel. The bodies of the 3 men have been returned to Israeli territory where checks confirm their identities. Meanwhile, Israeli attack on Farana school in Gaza's Khan Yunis has killed Al Jazeera journalist Samar Abu Dhaka and injured the network's Gaza chief Wal Dahadu. Israel attack also killed another Palestinian journalist, Rami Budair, and 3 civil defense team members. White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby has expressed Washington's deepest sympathies and condolences for the killing of the Al Jazeera journalist. Even as Israel has killed dozens of media workers in Gaza, Kirby said the U.S. does not have any indications that they are deliberately targeting journalists. Committee to Protect Journalists has said 57 Palestinian journalists have been killed since 7th of October. The CPJ has confirmed the deaths of 64 journalists and media workers in total since 7th of October. Elsewhere in West Bank, at least 4,420 Palestinians have been arrested by the Israeli forces so far, with 16 of them arrested in the past 24 hours. Israeli and Palestinian representatives to the United Nations made their case in favor and against a ceasefire before the General Assembly. Speeches from Ambassador to the Permanent Observer Mission of the State of Palestine, Riyad Mansour, and the Israeli representative to the UN, Gilad Arden, came after the General Assembly passed a resolution calling for a ceasefire on Tuesday. The resolution had 153 countries voting in favor and 23 abstaining. The US and Israel, which argue a ceasefire only benefits Hamas, voted against this measure along with 8 other countries. Former mayor of New York and former Donald Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani must pay more than $148 million in damages to 2 former Georgia election workers he defamed through false accusations that they helped rig the 2020 election against Trump. The jury in federal court in Washington, D.C. found that Giuliani owes the workers Wandera Sain Moss and her mother Ruby Freeman roughly $73 million to compensate them for the reputational and emotional harm they suffered, and $75 million to punish the former Trump lawyer and one-time New York mayor for his conduct. A federal judge determined before the trial that Giuliani was liable for defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and civil conspiracy. The only question before the jury was how much in damages to impose on Giuliani, who helped Republican former President Trump advance his false claims of a stolen 2020 election. Giuliani said he would appeal. The verdict was reached after an emotional 3 days of testimony in which Moss and Freeman, who are black, recounted a deluge of racist and sexist messages, including threats of lynching they received after Trump and his allies spread false claims that they were engaged in voter fraud. And back home, 2 matches have been scheduled under the Nepal Super League today. The first match slated for 1 p.m. is between Birgunj United and Pokhara Thunders, while the second fixture at 5 p.m. will see Chitwan against Sporting Ilam FC. Pokhara is currently in the 4th position of the league and Birgunj in the 8th. A win today is must for Pokhara to enter into the playoffs, and the presence of youth and foreign players is expected to support the club's aspirations. Pokhara had faced a defeat only in their 5th match. Earlier, Birgunj had defeated Ilam with a goal towards the fag end of the match through penalty. This so far is the only win for Birgunj in the tournament. Birgunj so far have 5 points but 3 games in hand, and the chances of entering into the playoffs are still promising. Despite good performances, Chitwan and Ilam have both lagged behind in the points table. Chitwan boasts of players of the likes of Chiring Gurung and Bimal Ghartimagar and is being looked after by an Indian coach. However, the club has so far struggled to produce influential results. Chitwan will play Ilam today, that are at the bottom of the points table. And those were our latest headlines. Our next English bulletin will air at 6 p.m. later this evening. Have a good day.